Have you ever heard of people who cut their fingers as part of tradition when they lose a loved one? As in, if my father dies, or brother, or husband, whoever that is a relative to me, when they die, I have to cut my fingers to mourn them. Sounds crazy, right? Now, it has come to the notice of many that there are a lot of undiscovered tribes in the world, and most of the recently discovered ones still want to live in hiding and isolation. Apparently, they're not very welcoming to the concept of civilization. Now, did you also know that despite the efforts of the colonial masters back in the day towards civilization in all parts of the world, some tribes have actually been able to successfully isolate themselves from civilization and the rest of the world? Now, in the deeper lands of Western New Guinea, Indonesia, we have one of the world's most isolated tribe, the Dani people. They reside in a remote area of Papua New Guinea and the Wamena of the Jajawijaya Regency in Indonesia. I know that's a lot with big names. Now, at the time they were discovered in 1938 by Richard Archibald, the Dani people were seen to survive with just wood and stones. You see, from their kitchen wares to farm tools to their armor and weapons for protection, everything was made from stone and wood. Their clothing materials was obtained from mostly tree barks, grasses, and seeds that can be strung together. They rub pig fat on their body to protect themselves from colds, since their clothing doesn't really cover much. So they use pig fat to protect themselves from cold. Could you even believe that something like that is still happening in the 21st century? Crazy, right? Now, you see, traditionally, the Dani people are animists, right? They believe in water spirits and their local gods. Also, they have there's a great deal of attention is given to their recently departed, that is, people who just died. They believe that their ghosts will be restless and cause illness, troubles of different kinds, and possibly an imbalance to the world that even people with special powers may not be able to solve. Now, as a result of this, they do everything they can in their power. They do whatever they can to quell the spirit of their recently deceased. The major and most intriguing ritual performed for this purpose is the cutting of fingers. And the practice applies mostly to the women. You see, the older women of the Dani tribe, when they are mourning a person who died in the tribe, the family members or relatives of the deceased, they're expected to cut off their fingers, especially the women. The Dani women are expected, it's a must for them to cut their fingers. Now, this practice does not only apply to the older women in the family. If there happens to be a baby, or there's a baby female in the family at the time of the death of the person, their mothers are expected to bite off the fingers of their babies. And it's crazy because the process of amputation is done without any form of anesthesia. Before amputation, a string is tied very tightly around the upper half of the finger for at least 30 minutes. Now, this is believed to make that part of the finger numb for a supposedly painless removal. And this process should be overseen by a close family member. Should be a parent or a sibling that should make sure this ritual is carried out. Now, this particular mourning ritual is very important to the Dani people because the amputation is seen as the only way to appease and keep the restless spirits of the deceased away, so they do not wreak havoc on their community. Also, if the person who died was considered a very powerful person when they were alive, their spirits will be assumed to be just as powerful. Now, this further explains the need to appease the spirits, And another reason for this custom, this ritual that is practiced by the Dani people, is that they also believe that the physical pain from the finger amputation would make it easier for the bereaved to forget the pain of the relative's death. Wow, isn't it crazy? You know, the finger cutting tradition has actually been banned by the Indonesian government and hasn't been practiced in recent years. But then it wouldn't exactly be strange when you see a Dani woman with all her 5 fingers snipped. Then you'd understand why. And the Dani tribe is not only the tribe in Indonesia that practices finger amputation as part of tradition. Now, although not very much is known about these people, the Lauda tribe of Indonesia have marital customs and practices that require amputation of body parts as well. I say body parts because it's not only fingers that they cut in the Lauda tribe. Now, the Dani tribe and Lauda both have their unique cultures, right? But they happen to share similarities in the practice of cutting body parts, of which women are the main recipients. Because with the Dani tribe, the male can decide not to cut, the male can decide to cut his finger. It's voluntary. It's not a must for the males. But for the women, it's compulsory for them to cut their fingers when they lose a loved one. So the cutting of body parts is something on the female side. It's what the women must do. But now, unlike the Dani tribe, the finger cutting practice of the Lauda tribe is based off of their marriage tradition that makes women cut off all 5 of their fingers. You have to cut off 5 of your fingers and give it to your husband as dowry. That is crazy. Now, it's a process every Lauda tribe woman is expected to go through once she's about to get married. However, it doesn't end there. Here's another crazy one. If ever the woman wants a divorce, whenever she decides, I am not into this marriage anymore and I want to go back to my parents' house, she has to cut off her leg according to tradition. Eugh. It's also important to note that all this cutting spree, all this cutting that has been done, none is conducted with any form of anesthesia. How do they even endure the pain? It's crazy. What's with the Indonesian, like most of the tribes in Indonesia, what's with them and cutting body parts? Who even came up with these ideas and established them for people to follow? I mean, why are the people even following it? You know, it's really crazy. If it's your first time hearing of crazy practices like this, how about you share your thoughts in the comment section? If you like this video, click the like button, share to your friends, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. I will be back with more interesting videos. So till then, bye-bye.